Good afternoon. Well, maybe I have some notes here with me. However, it is an impressively nice picture that I see here. I would be glad if everybody could see it and if we could also see each other here. Architecture is always also a bridge to the future. Today especially, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of all of us, it is important to build bridges and to lay the foundations for a good common future. I hope that the building we are constructing here will be a contribution towards a good future, a place of scientific knowledge and, above all, international cooperation. It's nice that you are all here. It's great that we can be together here today. My name is Christian Stegmann, and as your host, I will be guiding you a little bit through the program. But fortunately, I'm not alone here on stage. I would like to welcome dear Minister Manja Schüle. Dear Mr. Dietz, dear Mr. Wiesler, dear Helmut Dosch, and dear Federico Ferrini. I'm delighted that you are all here today, and that together we can launch the new building, which we are currently only imagining here, or send it a few wishes into the future with a time capsule. I also have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Roth from the Ministry of Finance of the Federal State of Brandenburg. It's great to have you here. Dear District Administrator Loge and Mayor Sven Herzberger. It's great that you are representing the region, and Mrs. Lehmann, our Member of Parliament. A very warm welcome to you. Dear Mrs. Tipfe, President of the Wildau Technical University, our partner university right around the corner. It's great to see you here together with your Vice President, Mr. Melzer. And I'm also delighted to welcome Mr. Jansen from the Business Support Society of Drame-Spreewald. It's great to have you here, and I also welcome all those who, together with you, will develop this region into a business and technology region that we call Dame Innovation. And I'm also delighted to welcome partners and friends from science. I'm delighted that Günther Hasinger, the science director of ESA, is today with us. And right next to him, I see Matthias Steinmetz, scientific director of the Leibniz Institute of Astrophysics in Potsdam. And I'm delighted to see you here today and together to develop a proposal for the German Center of Astrophysics as a large-scale research center in Saxony, together with many ties to Brandenburg, Germany, and the world, and that we can bring this let us hope that it will be successful. And I'm also delighted to welcome Christian Weinheimer, who always supported us with advice, with commitment as the chairman of the Astroparticle Physics Advisory Committee, who is continuously supporting us, and there are many more. And I'm delighted to see you all here, dear guests and partners from science, business and politics, from the region, from all over Germany and from all over the world, and especially dear DESY colleagues and dear colleagues from CTA GmbH. Thank you very much for being here with us in such large numbers. And a particularly warm welcome to all the spectators here on the live stream. Willkommen an alle Zuschauer im Webcast. Und ich habe gerade gehört, dass uns auch Zuschauer aus Nepal zuhören. Das ist wirklich großartig. Ein herzliches Willkommen an Sie alle. Now, before Minister Manja Schule is going to address us. Let me make two remarks. This event is a special one in two respects. First of all, for a very long time, due to the COVID pandemic, it is the first in-person event of this size for us, and we are very happy, and I am very happy about this. Furthermore, and we all see the pictures from Ukraine and the assault on elementary values of freedom, of democracy and self-determination. We have no words and we are sad, and especially in times like these, it's good to know, to have partners and colleagues like you and to have you with us. And I thank you for this. Together, we shall go stronger through these times, and let us help each other and let us help others whenever help is needed. Thank you very much. And with this, I come to the first welcome speech. I'm delighted, Mrs. Schüler, that you're here with us. The Ministry of Science, Research and Culture is an important partner here in Brandenburg in the campus development. Mrs. Schüler was here on the 1st of May. We could not see so much at that time. And thank you very much that you kept your promise and came here for the laying of the foundation, Mrs. Schüler. Thank you very much, Mr. Stegmann. Ladies and gentlemen, I have two welcome addresses. This is a welcome address that I wrote before the 24th of February. It is a celebration of science, of internationality. It is a celebration of laying the foundation stone, and I would have loved to give you a glad cheers in this sunshine, and I would love to celebrate with you. The second speech, I wanted to show the great projects which you have here. PITS, for example. In my second address, I wrote after the 24th of February, the bright and the happy cheers I wanted to shout to you was supplemented by a very sober tone, and I think you feel like me. These pictures, this attack on a sovereign, a free democratic state by Russia against Ukraine, it's a change in time, and we will feel the consequences right today, not only in the distant future. And so all our solidarity goes to the Ukrainians. And in the second speech, I wrote that the PITS project, caution, Russian cooperation is frozen. The text will be changed, Mrs. Minister. So which address do you want me to deliver? When I'm here, I decided to deliver a third speech where I clearly say our solidarity goes to the Ukrainians, and it is correct that all the cooperations with institutions of the Russian Federation are frozen and set aside. But at the same time, I would also like to say, let us also think of the brave and courageous Russian scientists who opposed this regime, who opposed the war, who signed a public petition. Dear Professor Stegmann, dear Dr. Dietz, dear Professor Dosch, dear Professor Wiesler, ladies and gentlemen, and dear colleagues from DESY. This war makes one thing very clear, and this is how much we need you as researchers, as bridge builders, as Herr Stegmann said, as those who find solutions to global challenges beyond borders, beyond nations, beyond cultures, and beyond religions. And we need research institutions that are not in the ivory tower and not just in one nation, but which are interconnected internationally, just like DESY, so that we can expand our view into the skies. The stars in night brings romantic people and astrophysics, makes them wonder what is there out there, or more specific, what is the origin of cosmic radiation? What does matter consist of? And in contrast to earlier wisdom, we now have highly developed technologies and excellently educated scientists in order to answer precisely these questions, and we have instruments and tools that can show what the naked eye cannot see, because the events are too tiny in order to quickly grasp them, or because they are too far away, or because they are too fast. In past decades, the history of DESY, or the story of DESY, has become a success story, not only with state-of-the-art of research, but also with a clear sense of what is necessary for developing the future. And therefore, this Zeuthen site demonstrates how well Brandenburg cooperates with the parent company in Hamburg, but also the international approach of this work. And the results, ladies and gentlemen, show that they are right. DESY floats on a wave of success, or on an unstoppable beam of a particle accelerator in a global competition. You took over the scientific coordination of the Cherenkov Telescope Lighthouse project. Many telescopes on the northern and southern hemisphere are planned in order to learn more about galactic and extragalactic sources. Here in Zeuthen in Brandenburg, this is where the observation data will be processed and made available to the global scientific community. The most recent knowledge of astroparticle physics is literally collected in Brandenburg and sent around the globe from here. This is a mammoth task, and we are here to fulfill this, and we are laying the foundation stone for this. Today we also celebrate the beginning of the new building for the new Science Data Management Center, 1,200 square meters for office and technical spaces in order to process data volumes. All that's fine, but 1,200 square meters, which you have in order to meet, to exchange, to research together. You will have training rooms, meeting rooms, and which is not trivial, you will also have your dedicated cafeteria. The campus is changing. Of course, representative, but never pretentious. And this is real Brandenburg style. As an open campus, DESY will be open to all the interested parties. And this clearly shows your handwriting, Professor Stegmann. You are a real doer, or in political speak, thanks to your untiring efforts and your social interest, this site represents openness to the world. We have more than 30 nations on this campus, and this is what I meant and what you meant when you said building bridges. And 11 million euros are available from federal, state, and federal funds. Top research is enough in order to justify these sums. But let me also say what I am also so fascinated about with DESY. I'm fascinated because you are an institution which defines its social responsibility further, because you radiate internationally and at the same time you have regional roots. And you also see this as an education mission. As a member of the federal initiative Understanding Physics, you make it understandable to students and sometimes also to teachers. You open up new worlds to them, and who knows, if people are really enthusiastic about particle physics and photons, these people may then study something in the field of natural physics, for example, the much sought after master at our beautiful Potsdam University, which was also the basis of a joint cooperation. Another of many examples would be Dame Innovation, where the DESY is centered in Zeuthen, together with Wildau Technical University and President Zippe, to which you have very close ties, has become a regional network. At the beginning, I said you are DESY colleagues, and this shows this is a very special community because you are highly energetic, as fast as care allows. This is a frequently heard sentence also in my ministry, and let me add, and as energetic as excellence allows. And this applies to DESY. Science is always linked to extraordinary persons, and I look at Professor Stegmann and his team, and also his predecessor, Professor Soding, and Dr. Ulrich. And of course also you, dear Professor Dosch, and dear colleagues from Hamburg. I'm delighted and I look forward to my visit in Hamburg in April. Brandenburg and the Federation are delighted to support you in your new building project, and Dr. Dietz will agree that only together with the Federal Ministry of Education and Research we must cooperate as a basis for your excellent work. And we must ask ourselves, if we look towards the orbit, but who would like to look to the orbit if we have the Zeuthen Lake here just before our eyes? We shouldn't envy the Italians with their Bologna headquarters. This is not only acceleration what it's about. Zeuthen is also the perfect location for decelerating. Maybe we manage this today for a short, happy moment. Just stop for a while and be proud of what you have achieved and being motivated in order to tackle everything ahead of us in our responsibility and assuring the Ukraine that we stand by their side. Thank you very much for your attention.
Ms. Schüler.
Frau Schüle, ganz, ganz herzlichen Dank.
Ms. Schüler, thank you so much. Your words are always a huge source of motivation for us as the DESY in Zeuthen, but also in Hamburg, to continue on our current path and maybe to make an even bigger effort. The next speech will come by Mr. Dietz as a representative of the German Ministry of Education and Research, but also as the chairman of the DESY Foundation Council. He knows us and he knows our projects very well. The German Ministry of Education and Research has supported all planning phases of the CTA and the SDMC for the CTA and really supported us in this endeavor. And now we are looking at a fantastic
Keine Sorge, ich spreche nur ein Grußwort, nicht Grußwort T.
Don't worry, I'm just going to
Sehr geehrte Frau Ministerin Schüle, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren und auch liebe DESYaner. Wir haben ja heute einen wunderbaren Termin, Grundsteinlegung. Da soll was Neues entstehen, was wissenschaftlich spannend und fordernd ist und in internationaler friedlicher Kooperation geleistet werden soll. Ein Stück Normalität nach der Zeitenwende, die vor rund einer Woche mit dem Angriff Russlands auf die Ukraine eingefallen ist. Dies kann man auch bei so einem feierlichen, friedlichen Termin
even if today's appointment or occasion is a peaceful occasion, this is still something that we need to address. And Mr. Stegmann and Ms. Schüler have already done so. We're behind the thousands of Russian scientists that signed the petition against a war, the war that their president started, and we're also, of course, we feel the suffering that the Russian president has brought over the people of Ukraine, which is why it is even more important that today we can do peaceful research with international partners, regardless
von Karl
of
Friedrich
all
von
of these
Weizsäcker
events.
stammt der Satz, und ich zitiere, die großen Fortschritte in der Wissenschaft beruhen oft, vielleicht stets, darauf, dass man eine zuvor nicht gestellte Frage doch, und zwar mit Erfolg stellt.
Successfully that has never been asked before. And that's exactly what we are talking about today. The CTA enables asking new questions. Because the data provide us with something that we might not have expected. The Science Data Management Center is supposed to be the scientific gate for the future gamma ray, the CTA telescope. So it is one of the largest and most ambitious European research projects of the forthcoming decades, which is why today we're not just laying the foundation for a building, of course not. We're laying the foundation for a better understanding of our universe. Mr. Dosch and Mr. Stegmann and members of DESY, this is your day today. This is your moment to celebrate your motivation and your commitment, which made this laying of the foundation of the Science Data Management Center possible. There's one more aspect that I would like to mention. In today's time, everyone's talking about fundamental research and innovation. Everyone's talking about innovation, but fundamental research is the basis of our knowledge. Where we have innovation, we had fundamental research in the beginning. We're seeing a few things today that is still counted as fundamental research, but that might in the future yield innovation bits, for instance. I don't know if CMOS sensors can also be used for other things, but in principle, fundamental research already includes tomorrow's innovation. So the question that fundamental researchers are very complex. They are too comprehensive for one country to just solve it alone, which is why we're working together with European countries and countries all over the world with respect to CTA. We're using large research infrastructures, we're building networks, and we're gaining new knowledge together. German researchers are part of this international cooperation, and very often they're also pioneers, also here at DESY Zeuthen, and you can definitely be proud of that. It is an opportunity to overcome frontiers, not just geographical frontiers, but also frontiers of knowledge. So the telescopes will gather a huge amount of data that will be coordinated here in Zeuthen. Data management is one of the main factors of success when it comes to large instruments. Fundamental research with its efforts with regard to data processing will also be an impetus for further digitalization, which is also something that we should take into consideration. It is also part of the message that we want to transmit today. So this is what brings me to research data. I would want us to have more exchange, especially with regard with businesses and also with the scientific disciplines connected to economy, artificial intelligence, for instance. Fundamental research can also be the driving force for new approaches with regard to digitalization. We're also supported with a small program that we call Data, and I think it is also important that fundamental research has a positive impact on digitalization. Ladies and gentlemen, the universe, the fascination of the universe, which physicist does not know this feeling, trying to figure out what is out there, trying to figure out what is out there in the universe, as is said in Star Trek, to know where we come from on our blue-green planet, and we're going to Mrs. Fatzinger, which unfortunately can't attend the ceremony today, decided that next year is going to be the scientific year of the universe, which is very fitting with the CTA, and I'm very much looking forward to this year of science and to prepare certain different events and measurements together with you, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe that this fascination that the universe is will reach an especially big amount of people next year, and I think that CTA is very fitting in this regard. So let us together think big for peaceful research, also beyond planetary borders. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dietz. Mr. Dietz, thank you so much. Especially, I'm also very grateful personally because you emphasize the importance of fundamental science. And I think this is really something we would all here endorse. And now, Mr. Wiesler. Mr. Wiesler is president of the Helmholtz Society or Community, a community of 18 large research centers in Germany, sometimes also with small sites like this one here, like the DESY site in Zeuthen. I'm happy that he is with us today, because this is special support that we experience from Helmholtz community as a whole, but also from Mr. Wiesler in person. Mr. Wiesler, thank you very much. Dear Mrs. Schüle, dear colleagues here on the podium, on the panel, dear DESY colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, on a day like this, I do not want to begin without talking about the horrible fate of people in Ukraine, including many colleagues from science. And I think each and every one of us must think in such a situation how we, both personally and with our organizations, can make a contribution in order to at least mitigate this tragedy a little bit. And Mr. Stegmann already mentioned this. The Helmholtz community is a large family of 18 research centers, which all have one overarching mission, and this is interdisciplinary, long-term, top-notch research in order to tackle one of the major challenges for science, business, and for our society. And in some of our research areas, as you all know, we develop and operate a unique network of research infrastructures and complex test setups in very different domains. A good example of this is the research icebreaker Polarstern, with which our colleagues explore the polar regions and investigate the consequences of climate change. Markus Rex, the director of the last major expedition that took place in our direct neighborhood, or example from medicine, the national cohort, a somewhat unusual research infrastructure where 200,000 healthy Germans at 18 sites are monitored on a long-term basis in order to create the basis for preventive medicine of the future. A very impressive example are the highly complex infrastructures in the meta-research area, for example, particle accelerators, with which we are trying to address very fundamental issues, as the speakers before me already mentioned briefly. And these infrastructures offer outstanding working conditions for our own teams at Helmholtz, but their special charm is, of course, the tremendous attraction for international scientists who use these infrastructures and visit these infrastructures, who research there, and who create tremendous momentum. We feel it here in Zeuthen, especially also if you are a day on the DESY campus in Hamburg. And among these infrastructures, international activities have a special role to play, and especially DESY is making a very crucial contribution to this. Think of the XFEL or the Cherenkov Telescope Array. What it is about today, a very special representative of such a research infrastructure, I would say. By now we have 25 nations that are involved in this project. A wisely orchestrated involvement in the CTA, this gamma telescope of the future, as it is sometimes called in the press. And with this, DESY will be available for Helmholtz and for the science site in Brandenburg and for the international community, and it will be another important element of the already impressive portfolio. And the fact that we managed here in Zeuthen to build a key component for the CTA, the Science Data Management Center. This is due to Christian Stegmann and his team's efforts. What you have achieved in the field of modern astrophysics is remarkable. And you have the reputation of outstanding achievements. Last November, after almost 2 years, I had the opportunity once again to visit Israel and to spend a couple of days at the Weizmann Institute. And we spent a lot of time talking with the Weizmann colleagues about the cooperation between Ochowat and DESY. Our Israeli colleagues appreciated the outstanding work in the field of multi-messenger astronomy, and they praised this. And I remember our joint visit to Erod, the International Research School was established, which is working perfectly according to all what I'm hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to connect to what Mr. Dietz already mentioned. In these times, we often hear a lot about the importance of application-near research. And this is undoubtedly a very important domain. Without fundamental knowledge in the field of research transfer, without this fundamental research, which we are talking about today, this is all the more valuable, because without this basis, technological breakthroughs would simply be impossible. This is often forgotten. And we cannot emphasize this often enough. The success story of the colleagues in Mainz with their BioNTech company, with which DESY is cooperating very closely, is a very good example. I wish the DESY colleagues, and of course also the large international CTA community, I wish them every conceivable success in this fascinating research field, and we will closely monitor the further development with interest, and you can always rely on our support. In this sense, I wish you all the best.
Ganz vielen Dank, Herr Wiesler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wiesler. And I think I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of many people that I'm looking forward to going to Israel together with you, and maybe we'll even be able to witness a rocket launch and to also celebrate some of our successes together. And I think that I can also believe that I'm speaking for everyone here, that I'm now looking forward to hear the speech of Helmut Dorsch. Helmut Dorsch says that there's one DESY but two locations. And he emphasized that there's one DESY. And very early on, he enabled us to make sure that we can go progress on this path. And he supported us in all of our endeavors over the last few years. And so we would like to thank him. And I think I will speak on behalf of everyone who is here, but everyone also who might be watching. And I would like to thank Mr. Helmut Dorsch and all of the directorship of DESY in Zeuthen and Hamburg for the support of our projects here. We're only able to assume this role because we are one DESY. Helmut, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Christian, for your introductory remarks. I'm very delighted to be here today after working from home for a very long time, and to meet again, meet a few people that I was introduced to over the last few years. And it's of course great that the weather is also good and that we're able to meet here today. I also prepared a short speech, and while I was on the train I decided that it doesn't really make any sense to read a speech that I prepared beforehand in the current times that we're living. And I think today is a day where we are not going to have a neo-imperialist aggressor prevent us to be happy about a future-oriented project. We can't give this to this attack or to this aggressor. So I believe that we should celebrate today, tonight, when we watch the news. Of course, we will be taken back to the, if you will, dreadful world in which this aggressor is attacking, and the situation that he brought our Ukrainian colleagues. This, of course, the CTA is a milestone for the astroparticle physics, and it is also a milestone for Germany as a science location, but also for the Helmholtz Association, but also for DESY, because here is, if you will, the brain of this new type of astronomy, and here this exact location where all of the data is gathered or put together. And I hope that it's not just the data that is being collected here, but that will also be a lot of young researchers who will meet here in the future and who will talk about the new findings from the turbulent depths of our universe, and who will be surprised at all of these findings, and who will be excited at them, and who will establish international contacts. So today it is a sort of view to the future of the universe, but also a view to the future of our whole free and democratic society. We've already heard a lot of thanks, and of course we're grateful for that, but I would also like to remark that without the strong support from a political and financial perspective and science or research perspective from the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and also the state-based Ministry of Science, none of this would have been possible. It wouldn't have been possible to organize this project even, and it also wouldn't have been possible to get this Science Data Management Center here to Zeuthen. So I think we're very grateful that we have a very collegial cooperation with Italy, with our partners in Italy, and that we can together try and find the right way to organize the science data management with the administrative headquarters in Bologna and the Science Data Management Center here. And we were able to organize the center here. And as the chairman of the directorate, I would also like to say that we're very proud of this location here. It is fantastic to see how over the last 10, 15 or 20 years this location has developed into an international flagship of astroparticle physics. And when we try and embark on a new path, we're always very optimistic that things will be successful, that Zeuthen would have such an extreme success is something that I think even the boldest among us wouldn't have expected. Of course, it depends, or that is due to a lot of things, especially also because of the people who were involved. I would also like to thank Uli Gens, for instance, but I'm not sure if he's here today, and a few other people. But I think it was important that we had the right people here, that we brought them here to Zeuthen. Christian Stegmann, for instance. We brought them to DESY a few years ago, and I think that this was a decisive moment for DESY to get him on board. And I think that we also managed to create a new research area for astroparticle physics here at DESY. And Mr. Dietz and Mr. Schüle were involved in that. And Ms. Dega-Marin, who I think I see her somewhere in the back. Oh yes, over there, hello. So I think we all did a fantastic job, and I'm very grateful to you that we managed to do that, and now we can see that we made the right decision. Federico will probably confirm that the signal that emanates from DESY, but also from Germany and Helmholtz, or the decision to organize this separate research area dealing with astroparticle physics has produced an enormous impetus internationally with our international scientific cooperation partners. So today is really a day on which we're excited, and I'm also very delighted to see how things will continue. And I talked with a few people already about when we'll be able to meet again. I assume that we will also have a few meetings before the inauguration, but of course there will be a real celebration for the inauguration, and I hope that we will be able to all meet again here at this place in good health and good spirits. Now, what else would you say on such an occasion? I hope that this groundbreaking, this laying of the foundation of this center is an important signal. It's a signal that we have the hope and the confidence that in the future we will continue to live and cooperate in a free and liberal world, and that we are able to inherit our children a good and peaceful future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Helmut, and also thank you for this support and this outlook and this encouragement that we can continue this week. Es ist mir jetzt eine große Freude, Federico Ferrini zu begrüßen. Er ist Geschäftsführer.
one should never translate this into English, what a GGMBH is, and has come to us today, not only he, but also Wolfgang Wild, who I welcome very much, the project manager of CTA. But Federico have come from Bologna, which is, as we heard already, the seat of the CTO headquarters. So I've known Federico for many years, and I'm impressed. I'm really impressed by the calm and level-headedness with which he responsibly drives the CTA project forward in so many places all around the world. But it's best if he tells us by himself. So, and in the next few minutes, I try to see if I can be a journalist as well. So, Federico, so what is special about CTA?
Well, CTA is clearly a major international effort led by the European science and community. There are 12 countries that are participating to the CTA project with different roles, but very well engaged by political and scientific communities. I would like to remind you also that CTO ERIC will be one of the 3 major ERIC in Europe, so one of the cornerstone of the European research area, so very important for the future of the research in Europe, all levels. The CTA project has been inserted in many national research plans with very high interest of the countries, very high priority for several countries in Europe. Furthermore, is in the ESFRI classification since many years. But the interest for the CTO project is going beyond Europe because there are partners also from outside Europe. Major partner is Japan, already contributing a lot. But there are other countries that are extending and considering very seriously to participate to this magnificent project. There are Australia, Brazil, South Africa, and also United States are very interested in the development for the future. CTO will be a global facility. So not only reserved to scientists in Europe, but all over the world. Scientists from all over the world will apply to have observation time for the telescope to collect data. The data will arrive here and then will be distributed to scientific community all over the world. And there are excellent perspectives as far as I would judge for the future of astronomy in the next decades, because there are 4 major research infrastructure partially constructed, either in construction, that are CTO, SKO, ALMA, and the Extreme Large Telescope. Each of them are covering a different energies or wave band, so different kind of light that are coming from the universe. They are complementary infrastructure, and they will work for decades for the future. So the future of astronomy is very well designed nowadays, and I believe the CTO will be one of the 4 pillars. Furthermore, CTO is clearly specialized on the astroparticle aspect, so the most energetic phenomenon of the universe. So,
thanks.
DESY.
So thanks, Federico. I think this sounds really very, very complicated, very challenging. But now, okay, let me be a journalist. So and ask you a question. So, okay, where are we in the preparations and even a step forward with the construction of CTA?
Complex question, because you know that because we have a very, very, very clear decision taken by the countries, the member state. They obviously gave to us the instruction how to move, and it has been decided that the big fund that the country has already foreseen for contributing to the construction and then the operation will arrive only when the CTO ERIC will be in place. And CTO ERIC, creation of ERIC of such a dimension is quite complex project. I hope and Christian too and many other colleagues hope that by the end of this year this will be done. And then the countries will be in position to transfer the fundamental financial contribution to the organization, to the teams that we're going to construct. But anyway, we already started to construct something. We have now are constructing the access road to the south side, so in the Atacama Desert, a very peculiar region. But the access road must be constructed because we are in the middle of the desert. A very, very strange desert indeed. It's completely empty and no water at all, never rains. Fantastic. But fantastic for the astronomy. So living would be quite hard. Anyway, we are constructing the road. We have one telescope. We have one telescope on the north side in La Palma, this large size telescope that is under commissioning before to be delivered to the observatory. We have planned to have some pathfinder. We introduced this funny idea to have some telescope that will be installed on the site to check how the prototypes already well developed and functioning already. One is here, nearby, because the medium-sized telescope a few kilometers from here, not far, is working very well, perfectly well, but obviously the interest of scientists and engineers is to test that in the site, that the present environmental condition quite critical, because the temperature, they are very high, 2,500 meters on the sea level. The temperature condition, humidity condition, wind, very strong wind, not to talk about earthquakes and terremoto and volcanoes, because you know in La Palma the volcano had done some damages very recently. So we have to test the prototype there before going to the mass production of tens and tens of telescopes. So it will be a huge infrastructure. We are preparing many other aspects, because we are preparing all the preliminary study that will allow to start the construction immediately after the ERIC will be in place, to organize all the technical and managerial aspect. And more important is to create the correct condition with the teams that are asked to deliver the telescope and to deliver the software. I think that this has been a major step forward, thanks to the goodwill of all scientists and engineers involved in the project, hundreds of them. Because constructing an experiment is something very different from constructing an infrastructure research, an observatory. So we asked to them to change also their approach and their attitude, and I'm very satisfied because they demonstrate a great progress in this direction. So working together with a joint objective, not just to construct its own experiment, has been a major effort by all participants. So this is valid for the hardware teams and software team that are producing the software that is as important as the hardware for this infrastructure. So there are two parts that will grant the success of the observatory in the future.
Thanks, Federico. I think this sounds really very complicated, and working together with the team at various places around the world and synchronizing time schedules of many countries, and I guess talking in many committees and ministries and funding agencies. Federico, so what is your personal motivation to put so much effort into CTA?
Oh, well, personal aspect. Thank you very much, Christian. No, well, let's say after a quite long career as a scientist, mostly in astrophysics, but other field of physics, where so spending some more than 2.5 decades in doing research and teaching. At a certain moment of my life, almost 20 years ago, I was invited to contribute to a managerial and diplomatic aspect of science. And I accepted, and I started with particle physics. I've been Italian representative at CERN for 8 years, in a quite long period. Then I've been offered to be the director of the European Gravitational Observatory. It was near my university, indeed, in Pisa. The scope of the activity was to construct advanced Virgo, and to create the network between LIGO and Virgo. As you know, it has been a very successful story. I think the discovery of gravitational wave, the first detection of gravitational wave, has been a milestone of the science of these last 50 years. But what most excited me beyond the first detection was what happened in August 2017, 17 August. I remember very well the date because I was in the control room in Virgo. When we received the signal gravitational wave, followed by, after 1.5 seconds, by an electromagnetic signal. It was a gamma ray jet. So gamma rays, connection with the CTA, it's clear. It was fantastic because it was something that was dreamed by astroparticle scientists. Because this connected gravitational wave detection of something very peculiar that happened in a very specific place in the universe with electromagnetic signals. So this started a really a new way to look to the universe. There is no way. So when, and this is my very fortunate destiny, after 1 month I was opened the position of director of CTA, with enthusiasm I applied, obviously, because it's clear that it could be a unique possibility. And but always with, let's say, with my humble spirit of service, a service to the gamma ray scientific community and to the countries, because when there are countries that are have decided to invest such important public money in constructing an infrastructure that will produce science, I think it's extremely important to arrive with the right spirit. And obviously, say if I'm going to conclude my scientific career in 1 year from now, and also, let's say, bring a small brick to the construction of this extraordinary infrastructure is extremely gratifying. So I thank very much to have had this opportunity in my life.
Thank you very much, Federico. And it's also a big thank you also not to you, but also to the team, I think, around you who really put so much effort into CTA to bring this forward. And I think I'm very sure that this is, I can speak this also for us here at DESY, but also for all the people who are connected from CTA or in the live stream and who see us here at this milestone. And I think now, Federico, I guess this is a big thank you. Be sure, I think DESY will be a good cooperation partner, and we bring this forward not only to build a building, but also for the best of our future. And with this, thanks a lot, Federico.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But now, Federico, don't move away, because now we come to the message we want to send today to the faraway future. And to make this really the faraway future, we will see the time capsule in a moment, which is really a solid piece of steel. And so now we have to say we have to fill the time capsule. So, Federico, we talked before about this, and I asked you, what do you want to send to the people in the future when the time capsule is opened again?
The book that the science community has prepared. So this science from Cherenkov Telescope Array. This is the product of many scientists that show what the scientific community is waiting from the observatory, and also demonstrate the fact that the scientific community is ready and wishing to get this fantastic data that will go through SDMC. So the SDMC will be the hub of the data, will be distributed all over the world. Pre-treated here, managed here, the science operation will be led by this center here.
But now, Federico.
But you are asking me to put this.
Now we have to start. I think we have to do that. We have to start filling that.
No, I'm able to do many things, but this no.
Yeah. So, but now I think the problem, as you said, it's a book, and it has a hardcover. So.
No, help me, please, DESY, Christian, help me, because I cannot.
It's nothing prepared. Okay. So we have a printout.
That's brilliant DESY solution, as always.
So then,
thanks a lot. Oops. And then we will introduce it for the future memory.
So thanks a lot, Federico.
No, thanks to you, to DESY, to all the colleagues.
Gut, das machen wir jetzt Schritt für Schritt. Ne? Nacheinander. Frau Schüle.
Okay, now, one after the other. Ms. Schüle. Now I have a peaceful message, a message of peace that I would like to put into the time capsule, as well as a chip with Imagine by John Lennon.
Herr Dietz.
Mr. Dietz, do you want to go next?
Ja, wir haben nicht etwas nicht ganz so Emotionales mitgebracht, nämlich die erste Zahlungsanforderung zu
brought
CTA.
the,
Und das ist eine
the
Kopie,
first payment
aber,
request
man sieht die
for the
Kollegen, die da
CTA, so not
unterschrieben
quite as
haben vor
emotional,
ein
but
paar
you
Jahren,
can
und
see
das
the
ist
colleagues that
tatsächlich
signed a
das,
few years ago. So I think it's quite
So.
fitting.
Good. Good.
Aber in der Hoffnung, dass noch viele
But in the hope
Zahlungs-
that there will be
Bescheide
further
folgen.
requests or confirmations
noch
of
ein paar
payment in the
Ideen.
future. We still have a lot of ideas.
Herr Wiesler,
Mr. Wiesler,
das waren Wünsche.
these were your wishes, I believe.
What PhD students and postdocs think
Was
about the future.
PhD-Studenten und Postdocs über die Zukunft denken.
Let's work and think in one language.
Lassen Sie uns in einer Sprache
Python,
denken
Java,
und
Julia,
arbeiten.
whatever.
Python,
Alles
Java
Computing. Wir reden nur noch über
und so weiter und so fort.
And I think what's very important
Und ich glaube,
here, we
das, was
talk
sehr wichtig
a lot about
ist,
infrastructure
wir sprechen
today.
viel
Big
oder haben heute
machines,
viel über Infrastruktur gesprochen, über große
Data Science
Maschinen,
Management Center,
über das
but,
Data
at the end of the
Science
day, it's all
Management
about
Center.
brains,
Aber am Ende des
about
Tages
young
geht es
brains in
hier
particular,
um
and these we put in here.
Thanks.
den Geist und das Gehirn der jungen Menschen und Wissenschaftlerinnen und Wissenschaftler. Helmut.
Ja, ich habe heute die
Yes,
Schlagzeile
today
des Hamburger
I
Abendblatts
brought
mitgenommen.
a page from the
Putins
magazine
starke Gegner.
Hamburger Abendblatt,
Okay,
Putin's
und ich
strong
hoffe,
opponents.
diejenigen, die das ausbuddeln, irgendwann,
And I hope that the people
wenn sie
who
das
will
lesen,
unbury
die Botschaft
the
gibt, dass
time
man
capsule
freiheitliche Demokratie
will
nicht
see the
nur
message
mögen sollte,
that
sondern man muss sie auch
peaceful democracy shouldn't just be something that we like to live in, but it's also something that we need to defend if need be.
Dann jetzt noch, oh, das Ding ist echt schwer.
It's very, very heavy.
Das ist jetzt noch nicht, wir sind noch nicht ganz fertig.
We're not
War er, das hab ich
quite
gerade gesehen.
done
Da,
yet.
das ist nämlich ganz besonders. Ich freue mich, Sven Herzberger hier
Sven
auf der Bühne begrüßen
Herzberger
zu können. Hier,
will
wir
now
sind
join
ein
us on
Teil
stage,
dieser
and I'm delighted
Gemeinde.
that
Wir
he
sind es sehr
will
gerne.
join us. We're part of the
Sven.
community, and we love to be part of this
Ja, lieber
community.
Christian, also ich
Yes,
will
Christian.
erstmal nur als Bürgermeister sagen, dass ich
As mayor,
ich
I
glaube
would
auch
like to
alle
say
Zeugner und
that
Zeugner
I, and I think everyone
stolz
who
sind, dass
lives in this
DESY
town is
hier,
proud that DESY
nicht nur
is
seinen
located
Standort hat, sondern
here,
noch ausbaut.
and that it's not
Das
just
habe
has
ich
its location here, but that it's further expanding. And
Die
now, what did I
bauliche Wurzel
bring?
hat das DESY
The constructional
1896
route
hier in diesem
was
noch
of
bestehenden
DESY
roten
was
Backsteingebäude, das ist das
started in
historische
DESY in the 19th
Seglerschloss,
century, which is the
ein
historical
Logis
sailing
und,
castle,
Restaurant.
which
Und
was a hotel
Die
and a
erste
restaurant.
Ansicht
And
aus
the first view from
1896 habe ich hier
1896
mitgebracht
is what I brought
mit den besten
with me
Wünschen
today,
für die
with my
weitere
best
bauliche
wishes
Entwicklung,
for the
die
further
wir jetzt hier in
constructional
den nächsten
development
Jahren erleben
that
werden.
we will see
Und
over the
die
next
Zeugner
years,
Ehrennadel.
and as
Warum?
well as
Weil
the
es für
honorary
Zeuthen
needle from
eine
the
Ehre
town of
ist,
Zeuthen, because it
dass
is
DESY hier
Zeuthen
für
is very
Zeuthen,
proud
Deutschland,
that DESY is
Europa
located
und die
here
Welt
for Zeuthen, for
Grundlagenforschung
Germany,
betreibt.
for Europe and the world, and that
Und,
DESY is doing
deshalb
fundamental
die
research here in
Ehrennadel,
this location, which is
Ehrennadel von
why
Zeuthen. Vielen Dank.
I also brought the honorary needle of Zeuthen.
Aber ich glaube, da haben wir eine Menge schöner Wünsche. Ich muss aber auch
So
noch
we
was
have a lot
dazu
of
tun, weil ich mein,
fantastic
Helmut Dosch
wishes,
kam,
but I
glaube
need
ich,
to
mit dem
add
Hamburger
something.
Abendblatt,
I
wegen des
think
Hamburger Abendblatts,
Helmut
um die Verbindung
Dosch
zu dokumentieren. Es war sicher nicht die
brought the
Überschrift,
Hamburg Abendblatt to the
um die es ihm
newspaper,
ging.
not
Und ich
because of
glaube,
the
das ist auch
newspaper,
ganz
but because of the
wichtig.
headline. That was what was
möchte ich gerne
important
auf
to
die
him.
Hamburger
But I
Abendblatt
would
was
still
kontern.
go
Und zwar mit der
back
aktuellen
to
Ausgabe
that
der
and with the
Märkischen
current
Allgemeinen von heute.
issue of the Märkische Allgemeine, which is
Wenn wir
another
dabei
local
haben,
newspaper
das
in
Thema
Germany.
ist sicherlich genau
And
das Gleiche.
the topic that
Auch,
is dealt
das
with
war ein
here is
Wunsch,
probably
der
the
kam
same.
tatsächlich aus der
And
Belegschaft, so ganz
we had another
spontan.
request from one of our
Man
colleagues,
muss ja später, wenn man diese Zeitkapsel
because
einmal auch
later,
öffnet, sich
when
auch
we
immer
want
wieder
to
daran
open the time
erinnern,
capsule, we also need
auch in welcher
to
anderen Zeit wir auch hier
remember
gelebt haben und was für
in
uns
what a
ein
different
Teil
time we
unserer
lived here and what
Morgenroutine, bei manchen auch
was
die
maybe
Abendroutine
part of
geworden
our
ist.
morning
Also
or
wir sollten
evening
auch noch
routine.
reintun,
So we should
einen
also put this
Selbsttest.
into the time capsule, a COVID-19
auf das wir ihn nicht mehr
self-test.
so lange brauchen.
And of course, we all hope that we won't need it for a long time. And another thing is very close to my heart. We spoke a lot about science today and about imparting knowledge to civil society. We talked about the science that we do is not just a purpose in itself, but that it has a vision, and a vision for the future, and a good vision for the future. Indeed, as Barack Obama said, we have the better story to tell. Because it is a good bridge between what we do in terms of science, what is complex and takes a lot of work, and what we impart. I have the current issue of the magazine Femto. Doing research for the energy transition is the headline here, which is also a problem that we haven't solved yet. But now the capsule is really full. Everything is inside. Where is the lid? Now, people who can actually do it are going to close it properly. Would you like to put the lid on it? I just took it down and it was very heavy, but I think there was something that you need to do, something specific you need to do, right? It also needs to fit. If it's not done correctly, please turn it in such a way that no one can see it. As always, we're doing it together. It's a joint project. So now let's go downstairs, and on our way there, I was told that I was supposed to talk a bit because of the live stream. Sven Herzberger just said that our roots date back to the 19th century, but that's not really correct, because what we discovered when we started digging is that this used to be an industrial area 2,700 years ago in the Bronze area. That's what an archaeologist told us. And so many things were found, many objects were found that pointed to the fact that about 2,000 years ago in different locations here, some things were produced manufacturally. So the history of this institution didn't start in the 19th century with Theodor Fontana, who was here for 3 weeks. No, the history of this institute dates back to 2,700 years ago, which is why we're now putting the time capsule in here. But I should also add that everything that was found here was properly documented. It's all been secured, and I'm looking forward to having maybe also including some of it into our cafeteria.
We also have to take a couple of photos, but let me repeat what I see over there. This really warms my heart. It's a fantastic picture, and I hope our photographers share my view. And over there, they are still securing the bolts. It will be definitely tight. Nothing will get into it. So there were also some time capsules. Federico, wir müssen das hier noch versenken, und das ist echt schwer.
So, aber das kommt jetzt.
Well, but it's going on now. So just a couple of weeks ago, a time capsule was opened in the United States, and there was water ingress, so there was only mud in this capsule. But our time capsule will definitely not share that fate. It is a vacuum tube, which is now tightly sealed.
Gut, jetzt.
I am really surprised. They are really sealing it in a vacuum-tight manner. And let me add, it's also nice not only to see all of you here, and I would also like to send my warmest greetings to all those who are watching us live. And it's really a good feeling to experience this and to see that this is possible on a day like today. And now the capsule is coming. And these are really the strongest guys from our workshop.
Yeah, sure.
Federico, wir machen es zusammen, nicht nur das CTA.
putting a time capsule here
sondern
inside.
auch die Zeitkapsel hier drin.
So, wait, I guess. Okay. Sie müssen weg.
1, 2, 3.
So. Da geht sie rein.
Well,
Steht,
there it
Neubau,
goes.
CTA
And we see
SDMC
new
und
building,
Kantine.
CTA SDC and cafeteria, laying of the foundation stone.
Oh, es wird eine schöne Kantine.
It's going to be a nice
Alle herzlich
cafeteria,
eingeladen,
and you're
hier
all
hinzukommen.
invited
Es ist
to
heilig hier
come
drin.
here.
Good.
So everything worked well.
Perfect.
Alles hat also bestens funktioniert, großartig.
So. Und nun kommt die Platte da drauf.
And now the slab is put on top.
Fantastisch.
Terrific.
Und jetzt müssen wir klopfen. Ne?
And now we have to knock on that.
This side. Gut. Dann wünschen wir
Great
diesem
then.
Gebäude und
So we
allen
wish this
wirklich
building
eine
and to all of us
strahlende Zukunft,
a
viele, viele
bright
wissenschaftliche
future, many
Ergebnisse,
scientific
Überraschungen,
results and
auf das unser
surprises,
Weltbild mal wieder
so that
revolutioniert
the
werden
picture
möge.
of our
Und die
world
Erkenntnisse, die wir
may
hier bei
be
CTA
revolutionized
gemeinsam
again from the
gewinnen. Und das vor allen Dingen,
results
wie
we
wir auch hier
generate
Menschen
here together at
zusammenbringen können,
CTA, and
gemeinsam
that we can
für
bring
eine gute
people
Aufgabe,
together who are working
zusammenarbeiten.
together
Damit
for a
danke ich
good
allen ganz
task.
herzlich.
So I would like to thank
Wir
everybody.
müssen noch hier stehen bleiben für ein paar Fotos.